Hey everyone, thanks for stopping by. If you enjoy breaking down the latest NFL insider news and player analysis, hit that subscribe button right now. We're on a mission to reach 1,000 subscribers, and your support means everything. Every subscription helps us bring you more exclusive content and detailed breakdowns. Let's grow this community together and dive into the stories that matter most in football. The Shedeur Sanders saga in Cleveland just took another dramatic turn, and the latest reports coming out of the Browns facility are absolutely explosive. We're talking about concrete information from multiple sources inside the organization, and what they're saying could completely reshape the Browns quarterback situation for the rest of the season. This isn't speculation anymore. This is real intel from people who are directly involved with the team's decision-making process, and it's creating serious waves throughout the entire organization. According to reports that surfaced after a recent game at the stadium, two separate sources provided information that paints a very clear picture of what the Browns are planning for Shedeur Sanders. The first source was adamant that Sanders will start at least the final 4 games of the season, regardless of what happens between now and then. We're talking about the matchups against the Bears, Bills, Steelers, and Bengals. Those games are essentially locked in for Sanders to get substantial playing time. But here's where it gets even more interesting. The second source went further, suggesting that Sanders might actually take over the starting role even earlier than those final 4 games. That's a massive development that nobody saw coming this quickly. Think about what this means for a moment. The Browns organization has apparently made a firm commitment to evaluating Shedeur Sanders in real game situations before the season ends. This isn't about garbage time appearances or mop-up duty in blowouts. They want to see him compete against legitimate NFL competition in meaningful games. The fact that they've already decided on those specific 4 games tells you everything you need to know about how serious they are about this evaluation process. They've circled those dates on the calendar and made it clear that Sanders will be under center when those games arrive. Now, let's talk about the caveat that was mentioned. The only scenario where this plan potentially changes is if the Browns somehow manage to win every single game leading up to the Titans' week. Let's be realistic here. That's an incredibly unlikely scenario given how the season has been unfolding. The Browns would essentially need to go on a perfect run, defeating every opponent they face without a single loss. That's not just difficult in today's NFL, it's nearly impossible. Teams simply don't string together that many consecutive victories unless they're absolutely dominant, and the Browns haven't shown that level of consistency this year. So what does this really mean? It means the Browns front office and coaching staff have essentially decided that they need to see what Shedeur Sanders can do at the NFL level, and they're gonna make it happen one way or another. The commitment to playing him in those final 4 games is ironclad according to the source. They want real data. They want to evaluate his decision making under pressure, his ability to read NFL defenses, his accuracy against top tier competition, and his overall command of the offense in high-stakes situations. But the truly fascinating part of this entire situation is what the second source revealed. The possibility that Sanders could be inserted into the lineup even before those final 4 games suggests that the Browns might not want to wait that long to begin their evaluation. Perhaps they're seeing something in practice that's accelerating their timeline. Maybe Dylan Gabriel's performance hasn't met expectations to the point where they feel they need to make a change sooner. Or possibly the coaching staff believes that getting Sanders more experience earlier will benefit his development and give them better information for future decision making. Mary Kay Cabot has been closely following this situation, and her insights add another layer to this developing story. She's been reporting that the internal reviews of Shedeur Sanders' progress have been extremely positive. People inside the Browns building are genuinely impressed with how quickly he's picking up the offensive system, how he's processing information, and how he's developing chemistry with the receivers. This isn't just coach speak or typical positive spin. These are legitimate evaluations from people who watch him work every single day in practice and meetings. The learning curve for any rookie quarterback in the NFL is steep. The game moves faster, the defenses are more complex, and the margin for error is razor thin. But according to the reports coming from inside the facility, Sanders is navigating that learning curve exceptionally well. He's absorbing the playbook, understanding defensive concepts, and making the necessary adjustments at a pace that has genuinely surprised some people within the organization. That kind of rapid development is exactly what you want to see from a young quarterback who you're counting on to potentially be the future of your franchise. However, Cabot also emphasized that the Browns still want to give Dillon Gabriel adequate time to prove himself. This is a delicate balancing act for the coaching staff. On one hand, they have a young quarterback in Sanders who appears to be progressing rapidly and showing legitimate promise. On the other hand, they have Gabriel, who they've invested time and resources into developing, and they want to make sure they give him a fair opportunity to demonstrate his capabilities. The coaching staff isn't ready to pull the plug on Gabriel completely, but they're clearly preparing for the possibility that a change might be necessary. What does Dillon Gabriel need to do to maintain his position? According to the reports, he needs to produce. Specifically, he needs to generate touchdown passes and show that he can consistently move the offense down the field and put points on the board. That's the bottom line in the NFL. Quarterbacks are ultimately judged by their ability to score points and win games. If Gabriel can start putting together strong performances that result in victories, he'll buy himself more time. But if the struggles continue and the offense remains stagnant, the pressure to make a change will become overwhelming. One of the most significant issues that Mary Kay Cabot highlighted is the Browns' ongoing struggle with quarterback accuracy. This has been a persistent problem that has plagued multiple quarterbacks on the roster. She specifically mentioned Joe Flacco's time with the team, noting that his passes were frequently off target. Those errant throws made life difficult for the receivers, disrupted the rhythm of the offense, and ultimately limited what the Browns could accomplish through the air. When your quarterback consistently isn't putting the ball where it needs to be, everything else breaks down. That accuracy problem didn't disappear when Dillon Gabriel took over either. The same issues have persisted, with passes sailing high, thrown behind receivers, or missing the target entirely. These inaccuracies aren't just minor inconveniences. They have real consequences for the offense. Receivers have to adjust their routes, make difficult catches on poorly thrown balls, or watch potential completions fall incomplete. The timing of the passing game gets disrupted, and the entire offensive operation becomes less efficient. This is where Shedeur Sanders presents such an intriguing solution. The scouting reports and practice observations consistently highlight his accuracy and precision as major strengths. He has the ability to place the ball exactly where it needs to be, hitting receivers in stride and making their jobs easier. That kind of accuracy is invaluable in the modern NFL, where timing and precision are essential components of successful passing attacks. If Sanders can bring that level of accuracy to game situations, it could fundamentally transform what the Browns offense is capable of achieving. But accuracy alone isn't what makes Sanders such an interesting prospect. According to the evaluations, he also possesses exceptional versatility in how he throws the football. Unlike some quarterbacks who have one throwing motion and one velocity setting, Sanders can adjust his delivery based on what the situation requires. He can rifle the ball into tight windows when necessary, but he can also take something off the throw and lob it over defenders when that's the better option. That adaptability is a rare trait that separates good quarterbacks from great ones. Mary Kay Cabot specifically praised Sanders' ability to throw with touch and feel, emphasizing how he can deliver softer passes when the situation calls for it. This is particularly important in the red zone, on-screen passes, and when throwing over linebackers to running backs or tight ends. Not every throw needs to be a fastball. Sometimes the most effective pass is one that floats gently into the receiver's hands, allowing them to secure the catch and make a play. Sanders apparently understands this concept and can execute various types of throws with equal proficiency. The statistical evidence supports the positive evaluations as well. Sanders posted a 74% completion rate during his college career, which led the entire FBS. That's not a small sample size or a statistical anomaly. That's consistent, sustained accuracy over multiple games against varying levels of competition. Some critics have tried to dismiss that completion percentage, suggesting it was inflated by conservative play calling or an unwillingness to take risks down the field. But Cabot pushed back strongly against that narrative, insisting that Sanders' completion rate is legitimate and reflects genuine accuracy and precision. The ability to complete nearly 3 out of every 4 passes isn't just about throwing safe short passes. It requires anticipation, timing, ball placement, and the ability to deliver accurate throws to all levels of the field. Sanders demonstrated all of those skills consistently throughout his college career. He wasn't just dumping the ball off to running backs and claiming completion percentage glory. He was making real throws to real receivers in contested situations, and he was doing it with remarkable consistency. Now let's talk about Tony Grossi, who has been one of the more skeptical voices regarding Shedeur Sanders throughout this entire process. Grossi hasn't been shy about expressing doubts and raising questions about whether Sanders is ready for the NFL level, but even Grossi is starting to shift his perspective, particularly as Dillon Gabriel's performance continues to disappoint. Grossi has openly admitted that Gabriel hasn't played at the level he expected, and that's a significant acknowledgement from someone who has been covering this team extensively. Grossi's criticism of Gabriel centers primarily on accuracy issues. The missed throws, the passes that sail over receivers' heads, the balls that are thrown behind the target. These aren't occasional mistakes or rare miscues. They're happening with enough frequency that they're disrupting offensive rhythm and preventing the Browns from sustaining drives. When your quarterback can't consistently deliver accurate passes, it doesn't matter how well designed your plays are or how talented your receivers might be. The offense simply can't function at a high level. What makes Grossi's criticism particularly damning is his acknowledgement that Gabriel hasn't shown improvement in this area. There hasn't been noticeable progress from week to week. The same accuracy problems that appeared early in the season are still present now. For a quarterback at this level, that's a red flag. You want to see development, adjustment, and improvement over time. When those things aren't happening, it raises serious questions about whether the quarterback has the ability to fix his deficiencies and reach the level required to succeed in the NFL. Grossi also addressed the issue of dropped passes, acknowledging that receivers haven't always helped Gabriel out by securing catchable balls. Dropped passes absolutely disrupt offensive rhythm and can derail promising drives. However, as Grossi correctly pointed out, that's not an adequate excuse for the quarterback. Part of playing the position is dealing with imperfect circumstances. Receivers will occasionally drop passes. Protection will sometimes break down. The running game might not be working on a particular day. A quarterback has to be able to navigate those challenges and still find ways to move the offense and score points. The contrast between the evaluations of Gabriel and Sanders is becoming increasingly stark. While Gabriel is struggling with accuracy and consistency, Sanders is receiving glowing reviews for his precision, adaptability, and composure. While Gabriel shows limited signs of improvement, Sanders is reportedly progressing rapidly through his learning curve. While Gabriel is facing mounting criticism even from former supporters, Sanders is generating genuine excitement about his potential. The gap between the two quarterbacks in terms of organizational confidence appears to be widening with each passing week. Mary Kay Cabot has been particularly emphatic in her belief that Sanders is the superior option at this point. She's repeatedly highlighted the qualities that make him an ideal fit for what the Browns need at the quarterback position. His arm strength allows him to make every throw required in the NFL offensive playbook. His composure under pressure suggests he won't be rattled by the speed and intensity of professional football. His ability to deliver different types of throws with varying velocity and trajectory gives the offense maximum flexibility in how they attack defenses. Cabot specifically praised Sanders' proficiency with sidearm throws, which is an underrated but valuable skill for NFL quarterbacks. The ability to change arm angles allows a quarterback to find passing lanes that might not exist with traditional over-the-top throwing motions. When defensive linemen get their hands up, or when throwing windows are tight, being able to adjust arm angle and still deliver an accurate pass is incredibly valuable. Sanders apparently possesses this skill and uses it effectively to complete passes that might otherwise be deflected or incomplete. Perhaps the most revealing piece of information came from Cabot's report about how the Browns view Sanders in practice settings. She stated that the organization believes Sanders would win most matchups against Dillon Gabriel in 7-on-7 drills if they were competing directly. That's an extraordinarily telling evaluation. 7-on-7 drills specifically focus on passing game execution, allowing evaluators to see pure quarterback play without the complicating factors of pass rush or running game. If Sanders is consistently outperforming Gabriel in those situations, it sends a clear message about who the better passer is at this moment. The Browns' commitment to Sanders is apparently total at this point. They're not just giving him a cursory look or keeping him around as a developmental project. They're genuinely invested in his success and believe he has franchise quarterback potential. That level of organizational commitment doesn't happen by accident. It's the result of countless hours of evaluation, extensive film study, daily practice observations, and detailed conversations among coaches and front office personnel. When an organization reaches that level of confidence in a young quarterback, it usually means they've seen something genuinely special that makes them believe he can be the answer they've been searching for. So where does this leave the Browns moving forward? They're essentially in a holding pattern for now, continuing to give Dillon Gabriel opportunities, while simultaneously preparing Shedeur Sanders for his inevitable opportunity. The coaching staff knows that Sanders will play in those final 4 games at minimum. They also know that if Gabriel's performance doesn't improve significantly, Sanders might get his chance even sooner than that. Every practice rep, every meeting, every moment of preparation is building towards Sanders' eventual debut. The pressure on Dillon Gabriel is immense. He knows that his window to prove himself is closing rapidly. Every throw matters. Every decision is being scrutinized. Every game represents another opportunity to either cement his position or accelerate the timeline for Sanders taking over. That's an incredibly difficult situation for any quarterback to navigate, but it's the reality of professional football. Performance determines playing time, and if the performance isn't there, changes will be made. For Shedeur Sanders, this is both an exciting and challenging position to be in. He's receiving overwhelmingly positive reviews and has the organization's confidence, but he's also preparing for the most important opportunity of his football career to this point. When he does get his chance, whether it's in those final 4 games or potentially sooner, he'll need to validate all the positive evaluations and demonstrate that he can translate practice success into game performance. The expectations are high and the pressure will be significant. The upcoming weeks will be absolutely critical for both quarterbacks and for the Browns organization as a whole. Dillon Gabriel needs to show marked improvement and start producing the kind of performances that give the coaching staff reason to believe he's the right answer. If he can't do that, the calls for Sanders to take over will become deafening. Meanwhile, Sanders needs to continue his impressive development and be ready to seize his opportunity when it arrives. Everything is building toward a resolution of this quarterback situation, and the entire football world will be watching to see how it unfolds in Cleveland.